Oh, my bad. I was just trying to connect another device, but it didn't work. Okay, let's rock it. Ali, you starting with your amazing introduction, and then I'm getting into questions and a little bit intro for myself. Sounds good? Right.
Yep, sounds good. Um, Welcome to everyone, especially our new corgis. You're in for a treat because we are going to grill our resident market guru, Porgal, on anything we've ever wanted to ask him, and nothing is off limits. So, um, he can do a little introduction for those of you who don't know about him, and then I'll read the questions that Enchroma has already compiled for us, and ping me in this stage chat if you need me um, while we're going through this process. All right, all yours.
Thank you. Sounds good, guys. After the questions, I will go through the charts as well. So if you guys have some requests, I'll try to open two things at once. But I think it will be easier for me if you drop it in AMA questions with the charts because it's less messy. There's not gonna be everyone texting and reacting and so on, rather than a Corgi stage. So if you have any specific charts you want me to look or coins and so on, I will try if we have time, because last time I think we ran it for like 2.5 hours. I'll try to go through some. So just go through a story very quickly. I know it's a lot of new people, so some of you guys didn't hear, how we started, how I started, and so on. So I think it'll be easier to just go through some basics, and hopefully that will put some of the things into perspective. Because I can imagine that if I would be joining a server and super new, and I just saw people posting in profit bragging, hey, I went from 3,000 to like 250,000 like Mitch, or some other guys like Fees or Sand and so on, going literally from 4 figures to 6 figures. um sounds a little bit crazy and too good to be true and so on. So I'll explain how it actually started and how is that even possible. So personally, I'm from Poland. I was studying engineering. When I was 21, I decided to start career in sales instead of continue with engineering career. Started in Poland. After a few months, I moved to the UK. I did not speak English, so I had to learn English. Luckily, obviously, I moved with a Polish team, so it was a little bit easier. So I had like a crash course on English and in sales in the UK. Worked there for a couple of years in London, and then opened up my own office, mostly doing event business to business and business to consumer sales in London, Maidstone, and Watford. So I did it for about 6, 7 years, and then COVID came around, and unfortunately, face-to-face contact wasn't the most desired career in the world at that stage. So I got into recruitment. Started doing recruitment for some offices in America, Ireland, England. I did mostly video interviews on a daily basis for various brands and the companies. And as I had that opportunity to work from home for the first time ever, I started exploring what else I can do if I don't waste that time on a daily commute and so on. Apologies, and I have a few extra hours to try some new adventures or venues to make money. And one of my friends was trading forex. I didn't really like forex, but I did like the idea of trading, and um, I was always pretty good with numbers and so on. So I thought that I can try. It was super new for me. It was June 21, and I started exploring that avenue. And that was just before, obviously, big boom on NFTs. Just after a huge drop on Bitcoin as well. I believe there was like went from 60,000 something to 30,000. So there was a little bit of panic on the market. So it was pretty good entry. But I would not say that was experience whatsoever. And when I joined, there was no server like ours whatsoever. At least I didn't find one until I created one, to be honest. And there were some servers that they did the leverage trading. Um, some of them had some basic education as well, but very few. You can literally count on them, one hand how many servers you can join that with actual, positive results. that you can get on a consistent basis. Um, so I joined a few servers. I started educating myself off hours. So I was still working full time. I literally was starting days at 7, 8 a.m. Up to 10 p.m. And then it breaks between the interviews I had on or cup of coffee overnight. I was spending on education to learn the trading, and I literally did it from a YouTube, so following the Twitter accounts, connecting with people on Discord on those various groups and so on. So just describe it how it started. It wasn't anything handed on a platter. I started everything from a bottom up, and I didn't go through the previous cycle. So I just started in the middle of 21. And it was a great experience. I went from like, couple $1,000s I deposited to like 20 something, but then I wasn't, so experienced. So I didn't take the profits and run it back to like from 25K to let's say 5K by September, October time. And that was the time when I really decided that like saw an opportunity, made some money on NFTs, some money on crypto, mostly leverage trading. And then I realized there's a great opportunity. I'm just not good enough. And that was that time between September 21 and December 21 that I actually took the things very seriously. I put my, schedule that committed at least 6 hours every single day in education, in a crypto, education NFTs, following the accounts, going through the various tutorials of how to trade and some of the best people I could find on the YouTube or Twitter. And also I did a lot of backtracking. So I checked Twitter accounts, the history, you can some of the people obviously delete their, bad calls and so on, but you can check most of them are actually not doing that. You can check what they posted 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago. And that way I started filtering those accounts. They were very accurate over the last 2 or 3 years. And start creating that list of people who, called the bottom, called them, very good opportunities in, 2019, 20, 21, before I joined, and started following those guys and see what they doing and how they doing it. So I started kind of curating my following list and started learning from the better people that first few months. And also I did a lot of demo trading. I know that a lot of people just don't believe that you can write something on a paper or just open up demo account and actually practice your trading. Everyone wants to make money instantly, today, yesterday, as soon as possible. But I did that a lot and also went through every single trade I did personally between June 21 to September 21. Went through what I believed was good, but why did I make that decision, and started kind of educating myself on that part as well. Then in December 21, I decided to go fully into Web3. In between, I was building connections on Discord, Twitter, trying to grow my network and asking tons of questions to people who were in this space for a while and knew more than me, and try to make as many friends as possible. That's something what I learned in sales and recruitment. On network is your net worth. You guys, I'm sure you heard about it, but it's true. And I got a couple jobs as a moderator, so I wanted to have additional stream of income because I left the recruitment. And in between, I was doing trading, and it was a great experience. For a few months, I caught it in a pretty good time in December. Market was still pretty boring. People were saying it's the end of the cycle and so on. And from December all the way up to like March, market went absolutely crazy, especially NFTs. And that was the time when, I did the most of the money between 21 and 22. And at some point, I just saw that people started doing the same as me, started saying that, hey, I'm quitting a job, I'm leaving that, we're gonna go beat NFTs into infinity and so on. And I started having that, those red flags that, people that I certainly didn't think that they could do well, and they keep posting like, crap, so to speak, and like everything was possible, started suddenly leaving jobs and going full time into Web3. So I thought it cannot be that easy. I had the same thing in sales. Usually, when we started some, new product, a new campaign, there's always a group of people who did very well for the first few weeks, a couple of months, and then, when things got a little bit tougher, they started dropping off. And I just started having those red flags. So I literally between like end of February to early April, I started cashing out pretty much everything what I had. I still had like a 10% probably left of some NFTs and crypto, but pretty much by April I was out of the market. I went traveling with my fiance right now, and I pretty much started coming back to the market in June, July 22. And if you look on anyone who been at the time, or if you look at the charts, there was a time when NFTs, crypto, everything went pretty much from, doing pretty well that, at like March, April, Bitcoin, I believe, was trading at like 50K something, and Ethereum was around 3.5, 4K. NFTs were doing great. And I came back in like June, July when everything absolutely destroyed. The people started calling end of crypto, end of NFTs. Bitcoin was what, 15, 16,000. Ethereum was, 1,000 and below. And I came back to absolute panic, and everyone who was, all the communities within a crypto NFT space I've been part of, they've been pretty desperate, and people were not exactly, in a good place. Obviously, in between, I was still working, moderating on some servers and so on, but that was more of a part-time thing. I wasn't online as much as previously. And then I connected with a few friends, and we decided to open up the Corgi server with a few people who we knew from you. Some of you guys are here from very beginning, from Psychedelic Anonymous, from Flower Farm, from some other projects that we were, in together. And I just thought that we can help our people to go kind of from the ground level up and don't make the same mistakes in the future, and to kind of survive that bear market, make profits along the way, and then hopefully make the real gains by a bull market. So a lot of people you see on the server are here from summer 22, from Q4 22, some of them from early 23. I would say probably about 150, 200 people are here, like around year plus. And those guys went with us from free mints of, free mint meta, when there was a meme land, other things are trending during the summer, and they started that free mint meta because nobody had money. So that was the only way you can get some interest and volume. We were flipping some crappy NFTs for $30, $40. Because there was not much of a volume on the market. We traded some smaller coins and did a little bit of leverage trading, and build it that education, and started building the confidence in the market, and people realized that even in that crappy market they could make consistent amount of money. That I think gave people confidence when the market start heating up, they will have way bigger returns of investments. And I realized that a lot of people over leverage trading and over trade overall. So I thought by the end of 2022 that to make the server as trading as replaceable as it possible, we are going to focus on getting into things early. So I wanted to focus on research into things before they're popular, to research into on-chain coins, research into the altcoins before everyone talks about it on the Twitters and Discords and alpha servers and so on, how to get into things before they are popular. Because I knew that if we start buying those things early on, like those popular YouTubers or influencers you see on Twitter did in 2019, 2020, and they bought things like Matic and Solana and Ethereum, for some scraps. Honestly, that before that bull market in 2021. Can we replicate the same thing on the Corgi calls? So The first long-term call we posted was Rollbeat. That was, I believe, 1st or 2nd of February. Then we did 0XO in March. And since then, we started adding those things consistently to portfolio. And the whole concept of that was for people to start accumulating things for the dollar cost averaging over extended period of time with the purpose of selling that in a bull market. Obviously, you put those rules through that you de-risk after 3, 4x, and then further the risk when we go 6, 8x, and then you can hold, sell whenever you want because already you are risk-free in a huge profit from your entry. And I would I would lie if I say that was easy for a lot of people, and also there was it's not like anybody really done it before on a scale that they were teaching people to do the same thing. At least I didn't see server doing that. So that was a new thing for me as well. And obviously I had to test that in a real life how it's gonna work out. And things started picking up throughout the summer. You know, we started having the first, um, multiple X's and first like, 7, 8, 10X calls and so on. Then Rollbeat started taking off and 0XO started taking off, then Ator and a bunch of other projects. And um, at the point that it was like August, September, October last year, we already had probably 20 plus different gems. We started doing some pre-sales and private sales to give people that early opportunity to get into some projects before they're actually even trading. And it worked out very well. So in a shortcut, that's where everything came from, and that's how you can see some of those guys, you know, generating those crazy profits because we did have them buying, PAL at 4 or 5 million market cap and 0XO at like 30 million market cap, and Rollbit and a bunch of other coins very early. One of the first ones we called, and also then altcoins like ENJ and Solana and so on we called in August, September, October when ENJ was $6, $7 or Solana was like 20 something, and there was multiple re-entries. I was probably posting re-entries and those magic boxes as we like to call them pretty much every week, every 2 weeks, I would say every 10 days um, on all the calls. And as people started seeing those profits, they did follow, and more people started accumulating, and that's how you see those guys running from 4 or 5 figures portfolios to even I think we had recently fees running to like a $500,000 Oxent and so on, over $500,000 in profits, which is incredible. And I believe it's a way more to come from this year. But if you are a new person, I wouldn't say to. I've noticed a lot of people rushing, like where's the next call? How I can quickly make money? How I can be next on the profit bragging and so on, so on. But that's not how it happened for us. Most of these calls, like 99% of all of these profits shared over the last few months, they were multi-month plays. Uh, I don't think any of them were less than a month from those bigger ones, the 15, 20x. I mean, we had OPSEC recently running 30x in what, like 2 months. Obviously, it's great, and I'm sure it will be, happen again with some other coins. But one thing I want to put a lot of focus on is the patience. It's a long-term game, and obviously, if you are now, you might feel like you're a little bit late. I wouldn't say that you're early. I wouldn't say you're late. I think you're perfectly on time. I think we still have a opportunity to get into some things before we see some of the crazy rallies. There's a lot of altcoins that didn't move much. There's a lot of gems that they still have a tons of upside potential. Um, but I think the worst thing people can do right now is try to FOMO into everything and just like over leverage or oversize into the positions. Don't do the dollar cost average. Don't wait until the things plays out. I already saw people joining a call which was posted, let's say, a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, and kind of wondering why is it not already 3, 4x. I mean, I'm not a fucking magician. Everything what we did was with with the long term perspective that if the fundamentals of the projects are good, if the team is great, they have a roadmap that fitting narratives into AI, gaming, privacy, and those few things that we mostly focused on, or bots. Um, and obviously, we did our due diligence. Huge credit to guys like, for example, Pranay and Vob recently helping me to kind of gather information on a daily basis from all of these projects and teams and check the background. We're literally going through the LinkedIn's, we're going through the Twitter accounts, we're going through the if they had any previous rocks, that if account is live, 1, 2, 3 years on Twitter, you can kind of check what they launched previously, what they did previously, and the history and sentiment and so on. So we're doing due diligence on every single project we are posting. That's the reason you see the threads and documents and so on, because we also putting money behind them, that we want to not only share that opportunity with you, but we also are investing ourselves, right? So I think that's something important to understand, that obviously we're never going to have 100% accuracy. There's never guarantee in crypto. But I think it's important to understand that, it's a long-term game. I'll cover a little bit more through the questions. We have 30 questions, so hopefully that was a good enough introduction for everyone to understand a little bit more about where we are, where we came from, and where we're heading. Ali, you want to go through the questions and I'll just start answering?
Yep. Okay. So for our first one, what would be your advice for people investing smaller amounts on gems, $100 to $250 per gems, when it comes to taking profits on Uniswap with those increasing gas fees? Taking a $100 profit with $50 gas fees doesn't make much sense to me. Thanks a lot. Keep on making us rich.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I went through that. There's a lot of information. That's actually a good reminder. There's a lot of information, not only in a start, like a Corgi start guide, however we called it, with like Atlas, encyclopedia, and so on we've made, but there's also a lot of information pinned on Gems update or altcoins update charts. And I've covered that, I think recently was January, and I reposted that as well, breaking down why people shouldn't have 20 gems with $10,000, but the better if they have 10 gems with exactly the same amount of money but bigger size. And everyone have a different size. I mean, some of you guys gonna invest, $1,000. Some of you guys invest 10,000. Some of you invest 50 or 100 or 200,000, whatever. But the point is that you cannot really invest into gems $100 or $250 where you're paying for a swap, or to sell or to buy, you're paying between $50 to $150 at this point, especially with gas going up. So if your budget is very limited to, let's say, $1,000, I wouldn't have more than 2 positions. And I will also consider just to have a one gem and one altcoin, for example, because on altcoins, you don't really pay gas fees. You can trade that on centralized exchanges. Obviously, they are less likely to pull, 20, 30, 40 X's. But, that's the safer option if you have a, budget on the smaller side, let's say $1,000 or $2,000. But I would rather have less positions with a bigger size and focus. Let's say if I have only opportunity to buy 5 things from everything posted, I would buy only 2 or 3 altcoins and 2 or 3 gems from G1 group. That's all. And I'll deploy that and just leave it. Maybe have aside extra, 10 or 20% of the capital aside for some of the pre-sales or any OTC deals if we have that opportunity. But if I have a smaller budget and I know that I can afford only, let's say, 4 or 5 coins with $500 each, for example, that's what I will stick to, because a lot of people I've seen some of these portfolios. I don't remember who I was speaking with, but there was one of the whales. There was 2 of them literally in the same day. Sent me open up the ticket with the portfolios, and they had more coins than I had, with a significantly bigger portfolio size. So it just doesn't make sense, because it's giving you additional stress, more things to manage, more the higher risk. and probably the same return of investment. So I'll rather focus on something that you like, you're comfortable holding, you like the project idea. Some of you guys are, in more gaming, some of you guys in, more of privacy and so on, and then just focus on those projects. But yeah, I wouldn't buy things if I have $100 or $250. I'll just do the altcoins.
Okay, perfect. Number two, you expect the top only around 115 to 120,000. So the ETFs do not have any influence on a higher top, but only on a shorter, earlier timeline on the bull run.
To be honest, I don't like to speak with certainties. As you notice, with every kind of prediction I'm making, I'm always giving myself the, I'll call it, let's say, room for a wiggle. So I'm going for two or three options with different probabilities to play out for me. And yeah, I would say I wouldn't really expect anything more than 150,000. I mean, 115, 120K, I'm very happy, and I'll be probably mostly out of the market. I think that's one of the questions later on I'll cover and explain why. But I think that um, a lot of people have a very different expectations from the halving and ETFs and so on. And as much as I would love that everything goes to, Bitcoin to 2 or 300,000 and Ethereum to 15 or 20,000, that will be absolutely incredible. And I'll be very happy for my bucks and everyone else's. But I prefer to play it conservatively and stick to my original plan, because in reality, if you ask anyone and including myself, September, October, August 23, which was what, 7, 8 months ago, would you, sell and take some profits if Bitcoin is trading at all-time highs in March 24? Mm, I would say 9 out of 10 of you will say yes, that you will take some profits and you'll be very excited about that outcome when Bitcoin was trading at what, I don't know, 26,000, 27,000 at that point. And now, because the things are going higher, the risk tolerance is very different, and people think it's gonna be infinite bit. And you're starting seeing those guys posting, 500,000, 1 million. Katie Woods posted recently, like expecting $1 million per Bitcoin in by 25 or something like that. It's just ridiculous, because she's also the person who sold absolute bottom of Coinbase. So if you're so bullish on crypto, you sold literally, she was just, few percent above the bottom of the Coinbase. She sold she's running one of the biggest hedge funds in a world. And now she's calling for 1 million Bitcoin. And you're seeing that on Twitter all the time, that those guys who were bearish entire 22, 23, they were laughing at our on-chain coins and buying altcoins and so on. Now suddenly they started calling for 200Ks, 300Ks, 400Ks, and it was exactly the same thing last cycle. So I just keep that narrative as sticking to my plan, and I don't really care about the inflow from ETFs and halving and elections and so on. I think it's incredible narrative for us to get as much upside and momentum as possible this year, but I think it's anything above 80, 85, 90K Bitcoin up to like 150K, if we get there, is a great opportunity to start taking profits, to move things into stable coins, to move things to your bank. And there's always opportunity to buy back. If we're going into some super cycle and we're going to have another 2 years of bull market, it's great, but that will be my response.
Okay. Next one. Halving thoughts. Do you think it will play any significant role? Also, that ETH, ETF, do you think it will be selling the news or we rip higher?
So again, I don't like to speak uncertainties, but I think the halving is overly promoted, and it played out, so many times. And when markets were very different, and we are in a also very different macro situation, that it's not going to be the same. I mean, my barber speaks about halving since December. When I told him to buy, he said he's waiting for until halving, because of the halving is gonna go at least 4x. I spoke with my PT, who actually was the person who listened, not like my barber, and bought things in January, February, with when I suggested him to buy, and he's very happy with that. But he was also originally the person who said, "Oh no, I'm not really gonna buy anything because I'm waiting for a halving because it's just like a narrative you see everywhere in the news." And we're gonna see that popping all over. It's halving, and people show those beautiful charts how it happened, before halving 2012, 2016, 2020, and they will expect that in 2024 is going to be the same, which would be put Bitcoin to like 700,000 or 800,000 at least, which I think is ridiculous. So um, I personally think we're in a very different macro situation, with the how governments infinitely printed money throughout the COVID with all the policies introduced. I don't really want to get into macro, but realistically, just in a brief shortcut, most of the people living from paycheck to paycheck, and it's worse than ever was before. People maxed out the credit cards. There's the highest amount of the credit in the history of the world right now. People living in debt, people living in overdraft. If you don't have the huge student debt, the mortgage, leasing to pay for your car and so on, and you have also cash in your bank, you're in 1 or 2% top people at the moment. I mean, there are guys I know that they are 40, 45 years old, and they have still huge six figures in debt to pay off for a mortgage for a car and everything else. So if you're not in that situation, I mean, you're in a huge advantage. And I just don't think that the market will have that consistent beat just because of the macro situation. There's also not much narratives coming up for 25, 26. There's no halvings, no elections, and so on, so on. So we'll see. But I see two scenarios here. We either have some sort of usually like a blow off over 100K on Bitcoin, then a huge pullback, probably 30, 40%, which will shake out 95% of the people, and another push similar to 2020, 21. And then we have another push, some altcoin cycle in between. And then is the end, probably by the end of this year. The latest I see that is a Q1 25, or we're gonna have a very long consolidation throughout the summer, super boring range within like 10, 15,000, range of Bitcoin, where most of the people will just get bored, things will just get very choppy and so on. People just start losing money, similar as we saw in summer last year. And then we're gonna rip into super cycle, which I think is less likely, and we're gonna have infinite bid until 2026. But I'm betting on the first scenario personally.
Okay. Next one. How to take profit and what percent for active on-chain trading. For example, you give a call and I take a position for short time and it goes up a bit on value and then consolidates for a while. Then I feel like waiting a bit more, and then I lose other trading opportunities. Is it good to have a time frame like I will hold this coin for 3, 5 weeks, a month in mind?
Yeah, so you have to go through whoever asked that question. You have to go through our guide. There's everything explained up there to that question. So it's not really point of me saying exactly the same thing. There's in a brief shortcut. If you enter anything within a gems, the time frame is at least at this point I would say at least 2, 3 months hold if you're getting into some gems, and it's not like you're trying to. I think a lot of people did that wrong in 2023. And you can ask them. I'm sure there are some that they recently, I think we spoke about it with Ghost, speaking from experience that, a lot of times people just saw that 40, 50% pump. So they took profits hoping that they can buy back lower, but they never went to that entry again. And they bought way higher again and repeat the same thing. And eventually, instead of getting 10, 15, 20x from that coin, they got 3 or 4, 50% up, if that makes sense, which wasn't remotely the same thing. So personally, if you're getting into gems, especially from G1, G2, I'll just expect that your dollar cost average within a box, and the invalidation is losing that box on a 3-day or weekly time frame, and worked out very well for us for the past year over year. So I'm sticking to that tactic because it's was very good. And I'm consistently updating because I'm holding a lot of those coins as well. So, obviously you'll have those updates if anything changes with that specific position. And if you're entering into those swing trades on the crypto, like I've posted recently, the time frame is, I would say, from 2 weeks to 2 or 3 months. It's like more of a midterm. And everything within that, degen side, uh, on the DGen side, it could be one day, could be 2 hours, could be 2 weeks, whatever you wanna um, hold. So it's really hard to judge, especially with the meme coins and the smaller caps and so on. Also, the rules are the same. I mean, if you're holding something and it goes up 3, 4x in regardless if it's one day or 1 week or 3 months, you should de-risk and make sure that, like, in case coin get back to your entry after it pulled 2 to 300% move, you should not be in a situation that you are ever at loss. You should be at least, risk free, so break even and some profit, if that makes sense. And that also worked very well for us, because that, in case goes back to entry and we still want to stick with that coin, you still have money to buy.
Okay. Next, I am a bit of a lagger sometimes, and it feels like there won't be any room to do so to scale properly. But of course, every portfolio is different and needs another strategy. What are some tips that you would give to formulate a proper exit plan for my own portfolio?
I don't know if I understand the question. What do you mean being a lagger?
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't have
I'll go for
info.
the yeah. I don't really understand that. I mean, I'll go for the exit strategy. Sorry, I think I can hear myself. I'll go for the exit strategy as well. At the end of AMA to explain a little bit more. But I mean, we can go through that now. I mean, if we're talking through the exit strategy, overall, you want to consistently move money to, when you feel already that you're in a good profit and you're very happy with the performance of that coin. I think it's a good idea to start moving the profits into stable coins, and bank. I'll I was planning to do the write-up on that in the next couple of weeks, so I think that'll be easier to do the detailed explanation how to do that and how to exit market without hurting your portfolio. But just a few things to cover. Firstly, you have to understand that you'll never buy a perfect bottom. You're also never going to buy a perfect sell perfect top. So the same way you were dollar cost averaging your entry into gems, and sometimes it was very boring. I mean, I remember some of the coins we were buying for, 1 or 2 months. Whenever it got back to it pumped 30, 40%, then got back to the entry, then pumped again 50%, got back to the entry. And it was this very long consolidation, a lot of coins, and that can still happen on some of the recent ones or other re-entries, and so on. But the thing is important to understand that you're not gonna just, let's say PAL, for example, gets to 2 billion and you're gonna sell every key thing at 1.9. I mean, you could be very lucky. I'm not betting on that myself. So, um, even recently, even last week, when I had some of the crazy things like OPSEC, for example, just pulled that one. I posted that and I took profits on, I think, 4x, then something or like 8, 9x, and then took a huge chunk around like 20x, and another one around like 25x. I didn't even take at 30x. Didn't catch that top personally. And you're never gonna really do that perfectly, especially when the things are just going vertically up. So I'm just, whenever feel like after following that 3 4x and 6 8 8x rule, and I feel like I'm euphoria and that huge gains coming in, I'm just shaving off some of my position, and I'm happy to move it to the bank or moving. I have like a couple of cold storages where I'm never connecting that with anything. It's on a separate laptop. It's always offline, and I'm just sending that to that wallet and not touching it. So whenever I need to purchase something, or I'm planning holidays or whatever, next year I have a wedding, I have that money aside. And when the things are more volatile and we have some sort of pullback, um, I know that I have that money aside and I already took profits instead of, worrying about about that. And I think that's one of the most common things that people are just getting too emotional with the bugs is because they never really take in profits, or they just you know, buying things when they are green, and buying things when they are green and selling when they are red. And that's the most common thing, because it's just emotionally you feel like, oh, it's so bad, it's red, I shouldn't really buy it. And it's like, oh, everyone's excited, I should buy it, it's green, it's positive. And it's kind of the shift of that mentality. So similar with taking profit. But anyway, with the exit strategy, I'll be going through more of details on that, because I'm planning to do that on kind of a bigger scale next couple of weeks. I'll post about it on my channel. But I hopefully that was the answer so far.
Okay, our next question comes from someone who just joined 4 days ago. What is considered a call? Did we have calls already, or did I miss it working full time? I see a lot of updates for people who are already entered earlier, and I'm not sure if I can or should also enter. If we get a call, is there a short but clear explanation how to enter for the newbies, as in where to buy, with what wallet and or currency? Thanks in advance.
Yeah, so that's the reason we did the chat for newbies questions, so we can answer to those things. But also, I think a lot of people are joining and just expecting that things will, just kind of happen by itself. I saw it on a lot of servers, not only ours. I remember when I started my journey in crypto, and people just, there were some callers who were very good in leverage trading, and they had consistent profits, but people kind of expected to be held by a hand, and pretty much I tell you exact minute where you have to enter and exact minute when you have to take profits. And if you miss that minute, it's it's a drama, and it's you're just not feeling that you're doing something correctly. So that's the reason we focus mostly on the spot trading, on a more of a mid to long term place, because I understood from early on, as I explained on the introduction of that AMA, that most of the people have kids, families, hobbies, other stuff to do, and working full time, because that's how I started, and that's how I was thinking. If I was entering a space and I had a server like ours, um, I probably wouldn't be here, if that, to be honest. So luckily it wasn't the case, for the sake of Corgi calls. But the concept we're trying to do is that you can check our server, I don't know, half an hour a day, hour a day. You can, choose the things you want to enter, and you can just buy them whenever you have some time, if they are the entry, and, hold them for the next few weeks or few months. So just to get back to the question very quickly, if I post a spot trade on a crypto, you're buying spot, not the leverage, and the entry is within a box, or you have that long, I don't know, if you didn't trade ever on the centralized exchanges, that's probably a good place to start. That in a red, that's your buying range, and a stop loss is on the bottom of the red, and a green is your, where you expect that coin will go up. But that's more than a basic, so we'll have to go through literally a tutorial to cover that on a spot side. On the gem side, you're buying mostly on Ethereum. We have a couple of coins on I think it's like a 1 or 2 on Solana, or 3 at the moment. But on Ethereum, that's the reason we have a bot. You have Photon, you have OCD, you have a Uniswap, SushiSwap, and so on. And you literally just copy address of that coin, and you're buying that on a specific price. And on Solana, you can also dollar cost average on Radium or Jupiter. But all of these basics we're covering on a guide. So if you joined and you didn't read that, you should probably start from that. And if you don't understand something, then ask questions, because those are very basic things, and we can have a 1 hour AMA for that kind of stuff.
Okay. Corgi, your "I do not plan on being in any positions by February 25" has shook me. Can you spend some time on this, please? Does that mean you will own no crypto, no Bitcoin, no stable coins, converting everything to fiat and paying taxes, walking away? What exactly does exiting all positions look like? If you plan to re-enter after February 25, what do the conditions need to look like? Less important, why is February 25 the magic date?
No, it's not magic date whatsoever. No, I wrote it in February 24th, so I wanted to explain that it's like more of a yearly perspective that by in a year time, I don't want to be really in any positions unless something within with my plan changes. For some of, I don't know exactly everyone's situation. I know, people who've been with us here or year and a half, where they at. But if you're new, obviously you joined like a few days ago, a couple weeks ago. I don't really know you, don't know your situation yet. Well, we probably didn't had a chance, to speak on the chat and so on. So we were trading entire bear market, and we started buying things for long term, literally from the 1st of February 23. So we are over a year since that time, and the things are very different. I mean, when we were buying things, Bitcoin was trading at like 20Ks and Ethereum at like 1200, something along those lines over like, let's say, over the course of few months. And things on chain were not really popular whatsoever. People were not really having, 3, 4, 500 million um, coins on the on-chain without centralized exchanges. We didn't have a meme coins on a multi-billion market cap like recently, Pepe, Bonk, or Weave and so on. So it was a very different market. And that was my plan early on for a shorter cycle. And I wouldn't say that it's converting everything to fiat, paying taxes and walking away. And I'm not planning to own gems or altcoins per se at that date unless something changes, and I'll definitely own the stable coins to potentially start building new portfolio or seek other opportunities within a crypto, because you can hold money in stable coins, but as that person mentioned, once you swap it to fiat, you pay taxes and all of that. So no, I'm not planning to swap everything to fiat. I prefer crypto and stable coins than holding, money in the banks. I don't really like banks per se, and well, you just have to use them on a daily basis. You can't really go away without banks. Um, but yeah, that was just my plan since we started talking about it. That like I'm expecting that 1 year of accumulation we had, and then had a great short, very aggressive bull market, and I wanted to cash out during euphoria. And we're already seeing some of that, but I don't think it's even barely a beginning of that euphoria. I think we have a way more upside over the next 8 to 12 months. But by that time, by let's say Christmas this year, I'll talk about it more anyway. But by Christmas this year, I would not like to be in the majority of my positions unless something changes in my outlook on the market on a long term perspective. Maybe I'm wrong, but I will happily accept that I'm wrong on that. Due to how correct we were on the things for a past year or so, and if things are consistently beating, even by the end of this year or next year, I mean it's even better for us because a lot of things we have invested, a lot of coins gonna go up absolutely bananas. So I can't see any negative in that either. So it's more of like a being conservative rather than being trying to be euphoric and calling for some crazy targets. Because when we were buying things, they were significantly lower, and nobody was calling for those things for those targets. Now everyone started slowly getting up into euphoria. Hope that's the answer.
Okay. I have seen some narratives about this being the last bull in crypto where we will see easy, large gains because of regulation of the crypto market in the coming years. What are your thoughts on this? Will Corgi Calls try to play into this narrative and search for other ways to make it after this bull? In short, what will happen with Corgi Calls after this bull run?
I agree. I think the regulations are coming, and there's gonna be a lot of like due to the ETFs and everything what is happening right now and how widely crypto is being accepted and finally getting some sort of like a credibility that it deserves. Obviously, I personally still think that 99% of the projects are just pure speculation, and we can argue about the innovation and how everything gets incredibly decentralized and so on. But also a lot of the projects and a lot of things we talked about and innovation, so to speak, it's only working on a few projects and on a smaller scale. Try to explain to any of your friends what is the current Ethereum upgrade we have and how is that gonna decrease the gas fees, for example, or try to explain how you're farming airdrops and you're burning money for the sake of getting potentially airdrop from the protocol just because you were using it as much as it's possible. Like we get airdrops from a different projects and so on. So it's a very different thing that when you're in crypto and you understand things. But for new people, most of these things don't really make much sense. And I don't think how things are currently playing out, they will get the wide adoption. I think there's going to be very selected group of projects and narratives that they will get that wide adoption. Let's say gaming, AI, or privacy. That's the reason I wanted to focus on those early on. But I think once the regulation come and they started, most of the people have the trouble to access things without a very detailed KYC. We already seeing that there's so many exchanges were forced to have KYC just to be able to even operate on the market, and they started putting more and more pressure on how much we can deposit, how to withdraw. It was way easier 2 or 3 years ago than it is right now. And as much until we actually have that, sort of things in place, I don't think we're really gonna get that, wide adoption that most of the people are expecting. And yeah, what will happen to Corgi calls? I don't know. I mean, again, I don't like to speak with certainties, and nothing will happen from a day to day. And I think if we went through the bear market in 22, and we did so well, we went through all the possible narratives they had, and trading scraps and so on, and we were profitable, and we still did pretty well. And a lot of those guys are still here with us after a year and a half. I'm sure we're gonna come up with something. That's the reason I'm trying to build as many connections as it's possible to get those opportunities, not only for myself and the Corgis team, but also for you guys. And there are obviously opportunities in real life investment. There are opportunities um, within a crypto space, and if we can kind of combine both together, that will be perfect. But until I actually have things in place and an exact plan, what will happen next year, I'm not gonna tell you because it's gonna be all speculation.
Why did you pick Portugal as your place to live? Was it the tax benefits, closer to family, or the weather?
Yeah, all of those, all of this. Yeah, it was the tax benefit, the NHR scheme. My family is in Poland, but it's not far. It was like 3 hour, 3.5 hour flight. It's a great weather, very beautiful country. Lisbon is incredible. If anyone been before, you know that. If you were not, highly recommend it. I think it's a great place. Still didn't have that much of a opportunities to travel around Portugal, so hopefully, I'm going to do that this year. Also, it's a great airport, so it's a very good connection from Lisbon around the Europe, Asia, Africa, and across the globe. So that was another reason too.
Next one is, I just joined a few days ago. For a medium risk taker like me, how to decide which call I should go for?
Yeah, so again, it's directing to the guide we posted. So originally, when I was explaining the last year how to build a portfolio for the on-chain side, we said 60% investment into G1, 30% into G2, and there was like 10% for those G3 experimental calls and so on. So that was the on-chain side. And if you include that altcoins will fit into G1, so in that 60%. So those are the least risky things you can, in my opinion, you can invest in. With NFT side, if you invest into some newer, smaller projects, I will treat them as the G2, so that 30% allocation from my portfolio. And if you invest into some things, let's say Kenpai Pandas, Pudgy Penguins, imaginary ones, and so on, I'll treat them as a G1. So that's more of a 60% of that portfolio. I always want to also have 10-15% aside every day to in stable coins in cash to be ready to deploy to the market if I was just building portfolio. So let's say you have $1,000 to deploy, you always should leave yourself, let's say, $150 in case something come up, if that makes sense. Obviously, not when already someone is building portfolio from last year. You should be already, have a significant profits and put them aside. So I think that's also a very important thing to keep withdrawing the money from the market and not putting it back on. So if you took some profits, you should have a part of those profits always put in a cold storage in a bank, wherever you want, to not put them back in the market because that's FOMO and chasing those opportunities and so on. And it's just making people more emotional. And when you have a realized profits, that's where the real confidence comes that you don't really care about this 30-40% swings on the market, and you're becoming less emotional because you know that you're already, risk free and in profit regardless what will happen. If that makes sense. And that's giving you, better sleep, and, your decisions are made very differently rather than when you're kind of trying to chase from one game to another and kind of keep rotating consistently. I think very few people can do that.
Our next one you've already answered. It was kind of about the crypto regulations, so we're going to skip that one. The next one says, I don't know if it's just me, but the insane gas fees are really unbelievable. How does this affect onboarding more retail? Does this mean that Solana is more bullish and retail friendly?
I mean, when I've joined, the gas fees were like that, even worse. I mean, I remember some of the hype means we did, like other side, I think, for to mint over other side from the by C ecosystem from Yuga Labs. People were paying $3, $4, $5,000 in gas just to be first in a queue for a minting, and it was a very common thing that if you get into some hyped mint, the gas was going to $500-$600 in 21 or early 22. So for whoever was trading back then, you went through that and it was very normal. We did pay the, $200-$300 gas fees as a normal thing when the things were really picking up and volume was insane. And I know it's crap and uncomfortable and it's a lot of money and you have to kind of burn that money for the sake of trading. That's the reason Solana is all the biggest volumes on the coins, especially meme coins recently, is on Solana because it costs you pennies to trade, swap, sell something, buy something, and so on. So I think it's definitely Solana is the retail friendly coin, retail friendly ecosystem, and that could be one of the biggest reasons why we have the rally when the things are doing so well, because Solana through this airdrop through that fund they did, and the performance of the Solana coins and Solana ecosystem, we have a lot of new people joining because they didn't need to worry about that burning that 100, 200, $300. I mean, one of my friends, making very good money in Poland and is working IT security, and it still pains him, even though he's been in a previous cycle as well, to use that burn that money for the gas transactions, and he's sometimes waiting until 1 to 3 a.m. To do the transactions or just to send money to somebody and so on, because that's the difference of $20-$30, which in some of the countries you guys I know that some of you guys are in Asia, Argentina, and so on, and obviously you don't have a dollars there or euros. It's a huge amount of money to pay $150 or $200. So if you're in that situation, I will heavily consider investing more into altcoin side or buying things for like a long term that you're not daily trading. Also, very few things we really do are daily trading. That's the reason we're building those coins to trade them on like mid to long term, because you don't need to keep an eye on them consistently every day and look at that lower time frame charts. You can look at the higher time frames, and it's also easy because you don't need to FOMO into buying stuff, if that makes sense.
Okay. What do you expect from Sharky and Space as a launch price?
I don't know. I'm not a magician. I cannot guess exactly what's the price will be. And I know some of the one of the question here was, would you expect that Sharky or Space will do as well as Portal? I don't think Sharky gonna be multi-billion-dollar coin, but with our entry, I think if it's couple 100 million, I think will be great for a easy few X. And I think people sometimes forget that in crypto, the returns we are making are just ridiculous comparing to what most of the people are doing. You're going to put your money into savings account in a bank. If you get 7, 6, 7%, it's good, but it's pretty much matching inflation. You know what I mean? And if you put money trading in a fee market and something moves 5%, 10% is a big move. And a lot of the strat fee guys are just trading on leverage because those gains are smaller. Um, and in a crypto, you just buy sometimes a meme coin and some coin like we had. Literally, the example is OPSEC that was posted 12th of January and went 3,100% within 60 days. I think it was 59 days exactly. I mean, this is ridiculous return. And even if something does 200% or 300% within a space of few weeks, a few months, it's still way more than most of the people making in any sort of investment. If you have any friend who, is not in a crypto and try to save up money or make money in, Forex or strat or like long-term investments and ETFs and so on. I mean, if you are not getting 200 or 300% yearly returns. It's just not happening. So I think sometimes we're just underappreciating how kind of ridiculous our space is and how much money you can make. So I don't know what's gonna be entry. I think space could be multi-billion-dollar market cap coin, and with our entry, we could have a similar return to Portal. But even if it's 2x, 3x, or 4x from what you invested, is still great money. I mean, if you tell anyone who have the wants to put 10,000, you tell them, hey, you invest in that, and in 6 months time or 8 months time, you're gonna have 2 or 3 times that. I mean, I'll shake your hand and take the deal, especially if I wouldn't be in a crypto. You know what I mean? So I would love to say it's gonna be 50x, 100x. I have no idea. We'll see. I think they're both great projects, and I invested in both. But what exactly we're gonna get from that, we'll see, and it depends on the timing of the market as well.
Okay. Our next question you pretty much already answered. It was about Sol and ETH, so we'll kind of skip that. And I think you may have already answered this one too, but I'll ask it. Which altcoins do you recommend buying, or are they all too far from entries? Which potential do you see for altcoins, 5x or 10x still possible or unrealistic? For example, FET already moved a lot. Is there more room at the top? And of course, thank you for all the work you put into Corgi calls. I think you answered that one.
Kind of, yeah, I can just quickly cover. That's
Sure.
one thing that's a lot of coins we have. They still didn't really move all that much, and I was posting that recently. I think even today, actually, I posted an update on that. That you have kind of the similar cycle going over and over again. And I was posting that today, I believe, in altcoin updates or on my crypto chat, that we are going from S1 to S2. So you had like a two big kind of blow off top, like a double top on the market, and most of the coins throughout the 2020-21 bull market, 2022 bull market, and then things absolutely collapsed, and a lot of them got back to the prices from 2019, from 2020, and so on, and they went from that very long consolidation stage. And once they breaking out of that range in a positive market, we're seeing things picking up ridiculously quick. Um, Looking on the previous cycle, you can see things going 10, 20, 30x within sometimes a month or 2 months. And we saw that on Fed. We saw that on Vanray from an altcoin side. We saw that on some other coins, like when Avax, Solana, or ENJ moved in between Q3 and Q4, they did rapid 4, 5, 6x's within a very short period of time. So once we actually get the proper alt season, when the Bitcoin dominance goes below 50%, I think it was 54 today, at peak was over 60%. You're gonna have real alt season when the money from Bitcoin is going to rotate into altcoins. That's gonna be a very different ballgame, and they will start picking up and popping off like crazy. And I think what is still happening is that the most of the money is obviously 53% is the Bitcoin dominance. So it means that half of the volume and the money it's actually in that in one coin. But once that money start to rotate, and you have a coin, let's say in few hundred million, and is going to get a huge inflow of the volume and buying pressure because of the narrative or some catalyst that coming on, they can go crazy. But if it's 5x, 10x, or 30x, that's very much depending on the coin. I mean, recently I was posting about Mina, that is still pretty good chart and it's still, um, you know, uh, can still have a lot of upside. And now 2, 3 days later, everyone posting about Mina on Twitter, and we got that at like 70, 80. I think it was like 80 cents. And got yesterday it was like 160, 170. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mina in 1 or 2 months is done like $3 or $4. So you can make that sort of quick gain on those things. Like Magic didn't move much. SNX, it's slightly above entry. I think it still has a tons of potential. And that's also a reason why I posted, because I saw there's a lot of new people. I posted the swing trades that you can get, those 50 or 100 or 150% returns within the next 2 weeks to 2 months. Um, just on trading some of those coins, and it's still pretty good return. While we exploring opportunities with some pre-sales, private sales, or OTC rounds, and so on. And the things can go very quickly. I mean, we got recently that OTC round for, let's say, OCD, and it's trading now at 250% or something like that of our entry. Obviously, it's a 3 months vesting, so you're gonna have your full allocation after 3 months. But getting something on the kind of price, it's pretty good risk reward play, and that's how I'm trying to approach every single scenario, every single coin and project, that how much risk we take in here and what's the possible reward. I'm guessing if that's gonna be 2x or 20x is unrealistic, but I can just play probabilities that based on the price action and charts and so on, I can expect significant upside that will outperform my risk, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. The next one says, I have seen several sheets and videos with regards to wallet security, but I would appreciate an update on this topic. Number one, how to set up the most secure route. Number two, until now, I have used several accounts within one MetaMask wallet, for example, one for mints, one for airdrops, etc. But I only recently found out that an attack on a wallet can affect all the accounts, which makes sense since they all fall under the same seed phrase. What is your take on this?
We're gonna post about that. I believe we didn't really update recently the security side, so I'm sure we can post about it. So I'll put a note on that. We can get over it. But the best how to say that, the best way to approach the security is your cold wallets and your things that you're holding for long term. Are they never ever connected to anything live and online? So to give you an example, let's say I have the separate seed phrase and MetaMask wallet for my long-term holds, and ideally you should have even separate device for it. So I'm using two laptops, and one laptop is always offline. I never connect that with anything, and have the separate browser and so on so on. But you're holding that your long-term coins on that specific wallet, and when you planning to sell something, you sell from that cold wallet, you send those coins to your hot wallet, and then you connect to Uniswap, Unibot, OCD, Photon, whatever you want. That makes sense? So you hold the coin, let's say, uh, give you example, PAL in your cold storage. This is never ever connected to anything ever. You're doing anything with that unless you're just using you want to use the staking contract from PAL to lock your tokens. Sure, put it there, but nothing else. For example, and when you want to sell, you're sending those tokens from that cold wallet to your hot wallet, which is separate seed phrase, separate wallet, and ideally separate device. And that's like an idiot-proof system that you never connect your biggest holdings and most important things that you're holding for long term with anything on scammy, even accidentally and so on, because this you're just eliminating the chance. And I think that's the best way to approach the security. But obviously we're gonna get into that topic. I don't think we updated recently, to be honest.
Next question is, what is the best alternative to Unibot?
I think Photon at the moment and OCD is pretty good. It's easy swap and low fees. So OCD is good. Photon is pretty straightforward as well. And if you don't really want to use any bot, you can literally just use SushiSwap or Uniswap. Obviously the fees are slightly higher, and you're not gonna really mark the sell orders or buy limits and so on because they don't have those features. But if you're holding something for long term, I'm personally quite often selling things via Uniswap or SushiSwap, mostly Uniswap really. And when you have like a bigger hold, I don't really bother with a bot. I'm just selling when I'm selling that on the market where I have some good price. I just do it like that. You sometimes don't need to really overcomplicate things and use super sophisticated tools. If you, let's say, bought something in July and selling that in January, if you sell just a little bit through a Uniswap, it's okay as well. But yeah, I think Photon and OCD are good. Banana is pretty good. I didn't test it personally, but I know that people did and had a good experience. So you can try Banana as well. I don't think they had any issues recently, and I saw some positive feedback on Twitter on the server as well. So I'm pretty sure that's okay to test too. I'll probably avoid now Unibot with all the issues, but you never know in crypto. There was so much thought that might as well go back now to all-time highs, and we're all gonna regret. But I just don't like the security concerns and all the issues that they started posting about. So I'll just skip that and stop using Unibot just for the sake of peace of mind. I don't want to risk it for a biscuit.
Okay. What is your advice regarding Lake in terms of staking if you participated in the OTC deal? Claim a portion, 50% now or soon, despite relatively higher fees, or only claim everything after 3 months and then stake everything you want?
It's depending about the every person kind of risk management, so to speak. I personally stake very few things. I just prefer to hold things in a cold storage. I know that I'm missing on some APRs and so on and additional benefits, but I just have a better sleep, not relying on any protocol being hacked or having any sort of issues and so on. I'm not saying that any of them are bad, because a lot of people staked in PAL and got great returns from that and zero XO and so on. Actually, I have a zero XO you're getting just from holding. But personally, I have most of my tokens just in a cold storage. I'm not connecting and not staking anything. If I was, I'll with a lake, I'll probably just get this portion of the lake and ETH into staking contract and just have the last claim, once a month or something like that due to the gas fees, and just make sure that you're hunting this lower gas fees. But there are guys who are doing that. I know that Mizox recently spoke about it, and I think Mitch as well. And those guys are staking for months, different coins like TVK, Lake, PAL, and so on. So there's plenty of people you can ask on the chat who are doing that. I personally just don't feel comfortable with with a big size to stake, let's say 6 figures of tokens. So I'm just keeping that in cold storage and don't think about, any protocols being hacked or anything like that. But that's just my personal preference.
Okay. Next one. More info about the AMA OTC deal. Personal thought about it and scenarios. Is the deal going to be announced so people can make time for it, or will it be out of the blue?
The only reason why things are sometimes, as you said, out of the blue is because they are time sensitive. So if I get the opportunity, hey, we have to, someone did allocation for XYZ token and told me on Thursday and they're closing that on Friday, I don't really have any other option. It's either we skip that opportunity or I post it on Thursday. If that makes sense. And a lot of things in crypto are time sensitive. So I'm just trying to play it as quick as it possible, so to speak. And sometimes they have to be first come, first serve, or we just don't have that opportunity at all. With AMO, I believe we will have the more than enough time and size to enter that. I spoke with Drew for the past few weeks, and I don't think we should have a problem with that. And with every deal, as you saw recently, with the even with nodes, with the OCD and so on, we are doing a write up and writing all the thoughts and positives and negatives and making channel for it and so on, so people can ask questions. So we're trying to make it as easy and approachable as it possible. So it's gonna be exactly the same thing with AMO. I'm just waiting. They literally just posted today, finally, the last phase of the claim. So the reason we're waiting with AMO is because they were getting out the private sellers. So private buyers from the seed round. They could unlock all the tokens instead of having them vested for another 9 months with a 15% penalty. They started with 50% penalty, and all of those tokens which were that part of the penalty were burnt, so making AMO a little bit more deflationary. So I think it was a great idea that will decrease the selling pressure, and also that will make AMO having all the coins in the circulating supply. So then they can build an easier upside and have a great catalyst coming up. So that's the reason I'm very bullish on it too. So but I will get into details about that more. We should have it probably this weekend because the last day of the claim is 15th. So that's in 3 days. So most likely this weekend, the latest probably like a Monday, Tuesday. But yeah, that's going to be very soon.
Okay, great. Well, this next one, I think you answered a lot of this as well, but I'll read it just in case there's something you might want to comment on. Will we have new altcoins and good reentry on existing altcoins? On the new gems, usually what is expected hold time? How do we know when to exit a play? I think you answered all that. Having a fund on Uniswap wallet is safe, or I have to move it to MetaMask. Given the gas fee transferring of funds from one to other, it's kind of becoming expensive for small investors. I see a lot of calls made in January giving 10x or closer returns in 2 months. Is it fair to expect similar returns in the current market for new calls? I'm sorry, I am new, so I'm feeling kind of bad about joining late and missing all of January's calls.
Sorry, guys. I was just answering the buzzer. Yeah, so that's what I said in January, mostly because we did those re-entries in January, mostly because we had um, I got to the point that I was consistently posting re-entries. So let's say if you go through the search button in the gems and some of the coins that we posted early on, in like let's say Q1, Q2, or even Q3, 23, some of those coins had 10 to even 15 different re-entries. And it's all only as long as I could post the accurate re-entries without, expecting the higher risk, because obviously higher thing goes and you're trying to re-enter that position over and over again, your risk to reward is changing over time. Buying something at 5 million market cap is very different to buying that at 40 and 70 and 120 and so on, right? So to answer that question, because most of the things we covered, we still looking into some new gems that we can post, like for example the one recently posted over last few days, that they are still a good play and dollar cost averaging those boxes. And we'll have some OTC deals and potentially some pre-sales as well. So that'll be another good opportunity. And I know it might be, you know, you're seeing those things that you, let's say, join now in March or late February, and you're seeing those coins posted in January or December or October last year, pulling some crazy returns. But a lot of people who joined at the same time, they felt also they are late because before them they saw the similar returns with other coins. If someone joined, let's say in January, and then they saw, our we had a crazy run between like a September, October 23, all the way to, ETF announcement in January. A lot of people who join in January could feel exactly the same way as you do, that they are late to the party, it's probably not gonna go up anymore, and so on, so on. Obviously, later you buy, there's a bigger risk and also potentially smaller return of investment. So if a coin is already, let's say, trading at 4 or 500 million cap, the upside potential, it is limited rather than buying coin at 10 or 50 million market cap. So it is pretty obvious. That's the reason we're trying to provide opportunities with the pre-sales and OTC deals. And there's also a lot of altcoins that didn't really move, and a lot of gems that didn't move crazy. They pulled, 2 or 3x, and they're still in a decent price. So I'll try to post some of the entries on those and updates. And realistically, even if I said that I'm not posting re-entries, if you go through the gems updates, besides of me posting, the updates from the projects and what they're doing and so on, I still posted re-entries on the things, like even recently, I posted re-entry on Loaf and, did 5x from the re-entry. So a lot of people are complaining, oh, I missed out the 10 or 12x on the initial run on Loaf. So we had a nice 60% pullback. So I posted re-entry, and the same people said they missed out on the re-entry as well. I mean, you can't ever please everyone. I had the same experience with re-entries I posted throughout the 23, that people just don't want to buy most of the time, red charts and red candles. It is what it is. So regardless how many times, sometimes I post re-entry, the same people just won't enter it. But I'm trying my best to post re-entries and stuff and giving opportunities if something didn't move yet. And if I see that, I will share it. And we're gonna discuss that at the end of AMA. I'll go through some charts as well. So hopefully that'll be helpful.
Next one. I have a
Yay.
relatively small. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just joking. Yeah, Karen.
No, I said next one, not last one. Don't worry. I have a relatively small portfolio with probably too many gem coins. I am taking profits along the way that I would like to reinvest. What would be a good strategy here? Focus on the laggards or wait for a correction of the ones that have already had a big run?
You can do a bit of both. Like, first thing is just getting back to the previous topic, that if you made the profits, take some out. I did this rule for myself since, started making good gains in early 22, that whenever you have that, the euphoric stage that something pulls up, you hold something, could be a few weeks, few days, a few months, and it pulled up those, 5, 10, 15x, or you call that quick 300% run or something. Just take some out, and you don't need to reinvest everything. Reinvest some of that if you want, if you still want to be exposed to the market. But I think it's very important to reward yourself. And I'm super happy. That's one of my favorite things on the server, to see guys posting that, one of the guys posted that he paid off his wedding from the profits. The other person posted that pretty much paid off the mortgage. Someone else, like, I mean, Huskies now wanted to go to Scandinavia, and he's traveling with his Huskies around on the sleds around Scandinavia because he made great profits, and he also shared a lot of great calls with us too. And that was not a situation those people been in 6 or 8 or 12 months ago. And I think it's very good to, buy those things you wanted to buy for yourself, or treat your loved ones and so on, and don't reinvest all of your profits back to the market, because that's making you more emotional and you just risking more and more. And I just don't think that is working well. So it's always a good idea to take some out. outside of market and don't put that back on. Another part, if you want to reinvest, it's either to wait for the new opportunities coming across. And I know people are impatient, and I can never say if it's gonna be tomorrow or in a week or two weeks time, because I have a very little control over founders. I mean, they can give me a green light. I had this great project that's supposed to come up in early February, and we are at what 12th of March, and still not launching because whatever. I still think it's a great project, but I have a very little control over the delivery and timing and so on. That's actually one of the things I wanted to cover quickly on the introduction. That one of the reasons why I think a lot of people struggle, and they will probably struggle if they don't change that mindset, is that all the things I would say all the things are temporary. You never want to think that something will be your forever PFP. We had a bunch of people having forever PFPs in 2021, ended up selling them at the bottom, in 2022 or 2023. I just don't believe in that. I think it's NFTs and crypto and so on is a great engine for innovation, decentralization, and privacy. But there's also a great engine for the speculation. And I will always say, do not marry your bugs, regardless if it's your PFP, your favorite crypto project, and so on. I know it's gonna be hard to detach yourself from that project if you hold something for a longer period of time and you really believe in the team. But the reason why I'm saying is that is because I was working with a lot of projects closely, even in 2022, and started in 23. Sometimes as advisor, sometimes I was just asked, to go over tokenomics and other stuff and so on. And I just realized that most of the founders, I'll literally say 90%, they either very bad traders or investors themselves. They're great, builders. Some of them are incredible developers. Some of them have some great business ideas and so on, but they are very crappy traders and investors most of the time. Most of the time, those founders are like an average Johnny in terms of actually generating profit. And I think it's hard to run a project in the most volatile industry in the world if you are not very experienced trader or investor, so to speak. So that's very different between being a founder, but also having that experience in the market. And also most of the founders have a zero plans or near zero for a bear market. Most of them are just planning ahead like it's gonna be infinite bid. And you can see that easily on what is happening on the market right now. That if you look 8, 12 months ago, we barely had any opportunities for pre-sales and private sales, and barely anyone was trying to launch the projects and so on. Now as market is picking up, suddenly things that were dead in 2020, 21, some of the seed raises and private sales from 21 that they pretty much didn't release the tokens and project for the entire bear market. Some people literally, I know guys on our server that invested into things and seed rounds and pre-seed rounds in 2021, and they still don't have those tokens. And now those projects want to launch something because the market is positive, which I understand that they were waiting for the better market conditions, but also how much you can really trust them that they will deliver on the things if they were doing exactly same thing in 2020 or 21 or 22, and they kept delaying that launch until they ended up in a bear market. And obviously they hopefully most of them, if they're still around, they were building and expanding the network and ecosystem and so on. But if things are just going to go bad and we start having market-wide pullbacks, let's say in 25 or late 24 or hopefully 26, and think most of the projects are just generally not prepared for that, and you're gonna end up being in the same situation like some of the people were in 21 and 22, and a lot of people held things 99% down, literally. I mean, I'm not gonna name names, but a lot of people on this call are from the 2 or 3 projects we all know about that went literally 99% down from the bull market valuation, and they're never gonna get back to those prices most likely. It's obviously, hopefully they will, but it's a very slim chance, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. Could there be a short explanation on how to read and use charts, where you are looking for, etc.? That would be super interesting.
Some explanation how to read use charts. Um, sure, but to be honest, the way I'm using charts is literally like a 5 IQ system, so to speak, I developed. And every chart you saw me posting is pretty much identical, where I just identify those large liquidation weeks and the supports that if you look through all the gems I was pretty much posted and how this magic box work. I just go through the volume, the head in the particle breakouts, and the liquidation candles and the reaction on that support. And that's just how it was on the gem side, because you don't really go over very complicated TA, technical analysis and a lower time frame on the coins that have a 4, 5, or 50 million market cap. I'm just focusing on the simplicity. I have that box, which is usually about 20 to 30% range, sometimes 40% or more that you're buying. Because if we're looking at something, let's say recently I posted one of the coins that was like, let's say 6 million market cap. So buying between 3 to 6 million market cap seems like a wide range because it's a 50% range. But in a grand scheme of things, if you're expecting something going to 30, 40, 50, 100 million market cap, that the range is there, giving you fair opportunity to enter, and it still has a great return of investment. So it's very different to the altcoins. And on altcoins, I'm literally using, I covered that a few times, 4 AMAs is a 1221, which is the best trending indicator on the higher time frames. So if you use 4 hour daily and 3 daily and weekly chart, EMA 12 and 21 is a great indicator to use on the high time frames when it's rather loose of the trend and momentum, when they're crossing to the downside, and the upside momentum when they're crossing to the upside. Depends on what time frame are you looking at. And I'm checking the Bollinger Bands on a higher time frame, so from 4 hour, 1 day, 3 day, and 1 week, which is giving you indicator when something is on the bottom of a Bollinger Bands. Is the usually very good risk to reward play to the upside, and the same when it's on the top of the Bollinger Bands is the risk off and some of the good time to take some profits. But yeah, that's about all. I mean, it's very literally very 5 IQ type of charting, but it works very well because I notice a lot of people using countless indicators and bots and algorithms and so on, and they're spending more on those bots than they actually making profits more often than not. And one of the things you see recently on the crypto that people started posting the green positive P&Ls, but when we see market report, I've shared that a couple of times, that the overall market P&L, so potential the returns, are negative when things are going up because people just over leverage the position. They're trying to catch this upside momentum because they missed out when the things were not so beautiful and market was red, and they're getting wiped out on this leverage. I mean, guaranteed today we had probably 500 million liquidations just on that move from 72,000 to 69,000 Bitcoin, which was only 5%, but it moved some of the alts 10, 15%, and people just got wiped out on leverage. That's the reason I prefer spot, especially in bull market, because you sleep better, you can do other things, you can dollar cost average in your range, and you're way more comfortable in your positions.
So now I know I know you answered this one, but I'm still going to read it. I know all the gems still have a lot of potential, but say you have not invested yet, which 5 to 10 coins would you buy into?
I wouldn't really answer that question purely because it depends on it will be saying that one of the gems is better than the other. So if you want to, have a list of top 10, I'll just let you go through the G1 and altcoins because all of the G1s are the ones, at least at this point in time, I believe that they have the biggest upside potential and the lowest risk to invest. And the altcoins, the ones we're posting, have a similar kind of expectations. So that would be my answer. Because saying, for example, right now that let's say buying EMC is better than buying Ori or Lens or Ammo, all kind of bullshit. Because firstly, I have no idea, and secondly, we don't really know which one will have the better delivery, catalyst, and marketing and so on. Like just to give you an example, we got into TVK, which is now Vanry in I don't know, it's like November, I think. And if you look at the TVK chart, they have a good history on Binance, for example. You put Binance TVK, Terra Virtua, or if you go to the CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, look how horribly that chart looked like, and nobody would be really interested in investing when the things were just so red and consolidating and so on. But we knew there's gonna be rebranding coming over. That there's I knew that there's the marketing coming over. That they changed the structure and team and the partnership and so on. And they've been very busy throughout the summer. And then got all of this information. We did the research with Prana and other guys for a couple of weeks, and then decided to get in that. And now it pulled up whatever it was 10 or 12x. A few months later, but nobody really talked about. There was only a few people really talked about it, in November and October. So we don't really know as which coin will execute things to the best of their abilities, because we can say that all of them in G1s or altcoins have a similar sort of potential, but not all of them will have the same execution because they have to play towards the narratives. You've noticed a lot of projects now talking about the NVIDIA because it's super bullish. So they're just playing that narrative or AI and so on, not because they certainly need it for that project, but for the speculation and exposure. So, and that's the big chunk of the crypto market is how you promote things and market them, and the narratives you're playing besides of the project itself.
Okay. Next one. How much potential do you see on Polkadot?
Okay, someone asked me that today. Let me just have a quick $10.70 weekly. 1 second. Just open weekly chart. Oh, weekly chart looks beautiful. Just breaking out. Just reclaim above $9. So as long as it holds above $9, I think it's minimum of 20, 22, 23. If we look at the chart, 1 second, let me post that in our AMA questions. So I'll just show you an example. Someone was asking about charting, so here you are. So maybe that will be helpful for most of the people. So 1 second. You see that? There we go. Let me just draw it very quickly. And here you have another one. There you go. And I'll show you how that low IQ is that charting. So hopefully you understand. And there you go. Perfect. Let me just post it now on AMA questions, and we'll see if people have any questions about that. Though that makes a little bit more sense. 1 second. If you hear something meowing, is my cat going crazy? I don't know if she's hungry or just exploring. There we go. Everyone see that on AMA questions? I just posted chart. So just to go through the logic behind it very quickly. So if you look at the dot chart, that's not full history because you have a history from 21, I think, and the dot I think is trading longer. So on Binance you'll have the longer history. But if you look at that, it's very simple. You have a blow off top in 21-22 bull market. Then you see the constant selling pressure all the way down to the bottom. And then you see this nice building, the consolidation. So we're literally consolidating in that downtrend from breaking below $9-10 from June 22 all the way up to the 26th of February 24. There was a breakout above the $10, the first breakout. Before you had the 25th of December. It was attempted breakout on $9, and we got a rejection. If you look at that red candle under my line in December, and now we reclaim that, and that was the line we broke below and traded below since 30th of May 2022. So that's a long period of time. So now as we reclaim above it and hold, it's going straight over the next few months to $22, $23 at least. And that's gonna be a next big resistance. If we reclaim above it, we can go back as well to $40, $50 to the all-time highs. And that's how you just look at the altcoins currently. And I'll give you that example I was posting recently in I think in a crypto chat today. It's either crypto or gems. So I think it's gonna be nice piece of education as well. 1 second, let me just find it very quickly. There's that crypto, and here it is. I lost it. There's somewhere. Oh yeah, it's pinned in the gems update. Got it. Okay, 1 second. Let me just repost. Oh my god, it's going crazy. Know what she wants. So, where's AMA questions? Sorry, just scrolling. Okay, there we go. So if you go here, uh, do you see what I'm seeing? Like it's exactly the same thing. And all of the charts, if you look at the things I posted, like Magic, SNX, Mina, that's how they look like before they break out. If you look at the TVK chart before, obviously rebounded to Vanry and so on, but just look at the TVK chart, that's exactly how it looked like. Look at the ENJ chart, look at the Solana chart, look at the Ethereum chart. They all pretty much copy paste in the same way, and some of them already performed and had that huge upside momentum. But most of them, the whole play right now is to catch the Sphinx before they do that, and you have that confirmation that they're breaking above that, previous resistance, which now becomes support. And for DOT and all of these coins, as long as it holds above that, if you're looking on a higher time frame, so let's say next 4 weeks to 4 months, 6 months, whatever time frame we're looking for, that's how it's going to play out. And it's similar to the example I gave about S1 to S2, that we're breaking out from S1 to S2 range on a Bitcoin is exactly the same thing is happening on a lot of other coins as well. So does it help, or I don't know, I was trying to make it as simple as it possible, but I guess that's what I draw now. And you can pick up any other coin if you guys write it on a chart, and I can just draw you the same thing and you'll see how simple it is. But yeah, overall that's the concept of how the charting works, and if you play on a higher time frame, it's just significantly easier and there's lower risk as well.
Okay, next question. We're on number 25.
Oh wow. Okay.
I know. It's a really long one, but I'm gonna pick a few parts of it that I think are good. Why specifically is aping into all gems and alts with $100 to $200 not recommended? Is it just gas plus taxes or something else too? Because if risk management is taken care of by selling 1/3 or 1/4 of a bag on a 3 or 4x, wouldn't that make it risk-free profitable anyway? If instead of aping into all with a small amount, we go for a few gems with a big amount, wouldn't that carry a risk of those gems going to zero and us missing out on the ones that moon?
Well, we covered that. I had the 20 minutes explanation. One of the similar questions to
I
that.
think it came after that. I think they're asking you
Yeah,
after that question.
yeah, yeah. But pretty much, a lot of people. That's a lot of reason why a lot of people having too big of the portfolios. And that goes for people with a larger, portfolio playing out of 6 figures, or someone who plays with, a couple $1,000s, is that that the fear of missing out consistently, that there's a reason people, instead of taking out money to the bank or to the cold storage, they reinvesting that back on. And that's exactly the same reason why people building portfolios of 20 coins, when with this size, they should realistically have 7, 8, or 9, for example, because they cannot decide in which one they want to exactly invest. So they invest in everything what they think, hoping that one of them is gonna pull 100x. But more often than not, it's most of the coins, like if you average down, let's say some of them pull 15x, some of them 5x, some of them 3x, some of them go to zero, some of them do 20x, some 7x on average. If you average that down, let's say you're gonna have a 6x return. Just an example. On 20 coins if you booked 15 coins. But what if you just cherry pick the ones that your favorites, just focus on, let's say, G1s and some of the most bullish narratives that you personally believe in as well, and you put the bigger size. So when it goes 6x, you have a 6x on $1,000, not 6x on $100. Because from $100, if you do the swap, um, buy a coin and you sell the coin and go 6x, you realistically only like in 3 or 4x because of the gas fees. That makes sense, and that's the reason why I don't think it's worth to buy on Ethereum anything worth $100 to $200. If you're buying an altcoin, very different ballgame. Sure, if you have a smaller portfolio, I've covered that before. You can buy something for $100, $200, and it's more than okay because you don't really pay those fees. You pay the minimal. But if you do that on on-chain swaps and so on, I mean, your 6x becoming 3 to 4x due to the gas fees, and that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Hope that's explaining a little bit more to that perspective. But I generally prefer less coins and bigger size rather than countless of coins in smaller size, because the size doesn't really matter that much to risk if we're looking for the same kind of, let's say, type of the coins like G1 or altcoins. But if you have more coins, you have more of a risk that they're not gonna perform. You're also taking. So I'll rather cherry pick and have a less coins in my portfolio, but a bigger size. But that's just my personal preference. Worked very well for me and other guys in our Discord. But obviously, everyone have the. I can only do suggestions. I cannot tell you what to do. So it's obviously up to you.
For us, with relatively smaller bags filled with never enough large cap alts, and with some regular stablecoin funds passively airdropping in the next months before full exit, would it make more sense to focus on mid-low cap gems, OTCs, and pre-sales, and only maybe some occasional large cap dips? Thinking of the potential upside, it would make a difference to 2 to 3x on large cap and 20 to 30x or more on smaller ones in the coming months or year. Understandably higher risk, but with Corgi Call's guidance, that can be minimized.
I mean, it's very much depending on the person and their risk management, because we're also in a different time of the market than we were 6 months ago or 12 months ago, for example. But I really wouldn't change the play just because we want to. That sounds for me like, if I squeeze that question into one sentence, it's like, can I be a more degen with the hope that I'll have a bigger return? But the changing the rules that the working and the risk management that it was working for the sake of risking more for the hope of the some of them is gonna pull the crazy return. I don't think it's exactly good recommendation. It's the same thing that, like I just said, that a lot of people who join in January, they felt like they super late and they're missing out. And some of them, they probably ignored the re-entries, because I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, I wish I just I bought these things in January when they dipped in end of January and so on." And then most of the reasons why it happened is because there was the same mentality, and then they were trying to chase these returns and chase these green candles later on, and I just don't think it's working. So now the easiest play is to probably, if you're trying to enter, is to go for the new opportunities that's coming up, some of the re-entries that I will post, but also have some of the capital aside for OTCs and pre-sales and private sales. And to finish with that question, we also, that's one of the reasons we want to close the access to Corgi calls, and we're gonna just open that based on the access will be based on forms, and we just open that every now and then. So in the next probably week or 2 weeks, we're gonna close the Corgi calls. Firstly, because we want to make sure that we have enough opportunities for everyone in terms of OTC deals and pre-sales and whitelist spots and so on. And as more people are joining this, it's hard to provide enough. It will be hard to provide fair opportunity for everyone. So I prefer to have a less people on a server, but being confident that everyone have a fair share, so to speak. And yeah, I think that would be very helpful. And the second thing, I also think from like a April, May time, it's a time to start, taking profits on your positions, not starting entering a new position, so to speak. So we have, let's say, 2 or 3 months to play the upside, probably then some sort of retrace, and then we're gonna have another probably rally. Usually it's summer, it's pretty positive. Sometime from even if we get the retrace, let's say in May or June, we most likely going to pick it back up. Let's say late July or August, and Q3 to Q4 is historically very positive for the markets where summers usually have a way lower volume. So I think there will be opportunity to play like a 2 or 3 mini cycles within a cycle. For example, from now on to let's say May, June, and then from July time to October, November, December. For example, there's 2 mini cycles where you can pick up things cheaply and play that 2, 3, 4 months upside. So in a bull market, you always have opportunities every day, every week. There's something on NFT side. Now you have also ordinals, you have Solana NFTs, you have meme coins, you have, OTC deals, private sales, pre-sales, and so on. I mean, it's way more opportunity than it ever was. So I don't think we're gonna be short on any of those opportunities, regardless if we're talking about the swing trading, long-term gems, mid-term gems, or OTC deals and so on. There's always gonna be something.
Okay. So there were some posts about this bull run having two peaks. First one somewhere after halving ETH ETF, and second somewhere end of 2024, beginning of 2025. If this plays out, should we have some strategy optimizing profits? Is it reasonable to expect more buying opportunities for gems and alts between the two peaks?
Yeah, 100%. So that's one of the things I wanted to cover on. I just started on that, and that question came. I didn't see that question before answering to the previous one, but that's also other opportunity we'll have that you can. Let's say we're gonna have a further upside. Obviously, we're just playing probability, so there ain't never certainty we're gonna have 2 peaks or 3 peaks or whatever. We might just go up only until 2026. But what I'm trying to say that there are always opportunities that if things, there are very strong coins. Let's say PAL, recently, OPSEC, ATOR, 0xO, and so on. They had some crazy upside. Let's say in the next 2 months, they're gonna pull up another 2, 3, 4x, and they going to do this crazy blow off top. On chain, it's a very common thing that you have this 50, 60, 70, even 80% retraces. And I was saying about that, countless of times that if you look on a cycle from 2000, let's say 1920 to 2022, if you just check yourself, go to like, let's say those popular performers like Matic, Solana, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, whatever the one from the previous cycle, and you go through the performance, count how many times you had those 50, 60, 70% drops on the chart. It was a lot. So it's always happening there. It's the same thing. The history repeats. That you'll have these opportunities to re-enter, and the problem is that most of the people just won't take them because the chart doesn't look so good. That's the reason a lot of people probably didn't take the re-entries posted in January, even if I, talked about them probably 100 times and reposted and said to use them. And then people, some of them just didn't use it, and people who used that they had a very good entries on a bunch of coins. So I think we might have that, as I said, 2, 3 mini cycles within this cycle. That let's say we pick, for example, May, June, things will retrace 50, 60, 70%, and you can buy them back lower or buy if you didn't enter previously and play for that another 3, 5, 8, 10x upside on those coins, if that makes sense. And that way you also know what to beat because we just going to beat top performance. So I'm not going to go through all the 30, 40 coins. I will just cherry pick those ones that they have, the best narrative catalyst team and the strongest, potential buying pressure on the downside. And we're just going to focus on those. Sorry, hope that makes sense.
Okay. Bull run will eventually end. How to know when to stop buying and investing and start selling and taking profits.
Yeah, I covered that today like 5 times, but
Heard that one,
yeah,
right?
I'll
Yeah.
go over that. I think the exit strategy is as important. I mean, we focused and we put a lot of pressure in 2023 to focus on dollar cost averaging into buying things and the mentality behind the long-term holding, behind being investor, not the trader. And I said that so many times that the investors will outperform traders tenfold in the cycle, and we're seeing that playing out. It's funny to see some of these big CT accounts who laughed at the on-chain coins and they called them scam and bullshit and so on last year. Now suddenly they're posting the buys or started sharing which coins they're buying when they are at a few hundred million market cap, and they were laughing at us when they were a few million market cap, if that makes sense. Um, because now suddenly when they have a higher market cap, they are more legit for them that they when they were lower, which makes zero sense. And it's a similar thing that you see these people flashing P&Ls on the leverage trading. Um, but more often than not, on the current market, in a bull market, when you have these pullbacks, it's very hard to trade leverage. So it's good to do that if you experience with small fraction of your portfolio, if you trade it actively before. But we are still in a stage of the market that buying spot and holding is allowing you to have the better quality personal life, but also better profits. And we saw that, even last few months that, people just get wrecked on those 5, 10, 15% moves and pullbacks and upside momentum. And literally, if you just zoom out the chart of the last 3 months, it was just up only. You just have to look at the daily or weekly time frame, not on a 15 or 30-minute time frame on the charts. If that makes sense. But yeah, I'll go through the exit strategy and we're gonna cover that in the details over the next couple of months because I think it's very important and it's time to start talking about it.
Okay. This next one, we've definitely covered the first part of the question. The second part is, now that we are in the bull, is it best to always keep unused funds in either ETH or Bitcoin, or are you still converting to stables? I can't hear you if you're talking, Corgal. I don't know. I don't know if
Sorry.
you're.
I was
Yeah.
talking, but I muted my
Like, oh,
microphone.
he's really thinking. Okay.
No, apologies. No, I was just listening to you. 1 second.
You were deep in thought.
Yeah, I was just deep in thought and talking to myself. Yeah, anyway, I covered that a little bit on this call already. But sorry, I just lost my plot now. Our previous entry.
Ether,
Yeah.
Bitcoin, or stable.
Yeah. So when you take in profits, you're taking profits to the stable coins. I do have some taking aside for the Ethereum, still just for the sake of if I want to, swap something on NFT side or on-chain side. So I always have some Ethereum aside, and I still think Ethereum have more upside. But the profit taking is not swapping that to Bitcoin or Ethereum. Profit taking is swapping that to the stable coin or to your bank. That's just how it is, and I think most of the people. I'll repeat that so many times you're gonna be bored of that over the next 8 to 12 months. But the same way I was repeating how to buying things for long term dollar cost averaging. I think it's very important to dollar cost average your profits. And I know a lot of people will be upset that, hey, I shouldn't, sell that at XYZ price because it went higher. But again, you cannot really perfectly time your the top in the market. And realistically, you always have to think that if you if someone asked you 6 months ago when you were buying that coin, or 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago, before it pulled that, 3, 4,000%, whatever the outcome is, would you be excited about it? And the answer is going to be pretty much always a yes. But because now it's pumping up and it's euphoria and you're super excited, you just think it's gonna pull up another 10x or 20x and so on. I mean, I would probably have I missed out on a huge profit on OPSEC just because I took some profits on 4x, 9x, and 25x, so, instead of waiting and selling everything on a 30x. But when I have now, let's say, 30 plus coins, it's very hard to make decision individually on every coin, and it's very stressful and cause you anxiety. I went through that myself as well. Um, so I have a very strict rules, and I'm just following them religiously with every investment. Ali Mac, I think Ali, you have to mute yourself because I can hear myself. Uh,
Oh.
yeah, I was just echoing, sorry. Um, but if you have these strict rules and you follow them, it's gonna be way easier to make those decisions because instead of overthinking and trying to make that decision with each coin, you just follow the same structure. And it's going to be. It was the same thing with buying. The same thing is for me with the taking profits as well. So yeah, hopefully that's the answer to the question.
Okay, nearing the end. Is it
Yes.
possible to have a is it possible to have a tracking list based on the recommended coins, recommended price, recommended date, and current status as to hold, exit, accumulate? So it's easy for newcomers to make a decision. It can also be helpful if we can highlight the new calls from the already made ones.
We can do something with a highlight for the new things. You can obviously look purely on a date. So when something is posted in a Gems long term, I'm not posting updates in the chat. I'm posting only the calls. So you can see the date when I post it if you go to the Gems long term, and you also can see the entry and the link to the chart. Sorry, to the charts. We also have in a portfolio we've made entire like a watch list on all the coins depending on the group. So if you go to the gem portfolio G1, you have all the coins in the G1, and the same goes for G2 and so on. They're all on one list, so you don't need to search them individually. But yeah, definitely we can highlight the new versus old ones and so on. But realistically, we at the stage that I won't be posting new calls, especially for the mid to long term hold, every day or a couple times a week. It's going to be every now and then when the opportunity arises, and we'll try to catch some OTC deals and pre-sales as well. So that will be also easy entry for the new person. Um, to manage 40 plus coins and posted recommended coins, price, and date will be physically impossible. I mean, I'm one person, I'm already working probably two full-time jobs at this point. And the same goes for Pranayan and Chroma and so on. So as much as I would like to, help on that side, I think it will be just physically impossible to track every coin on a daily basis with that. But when I'm posting re-entries, they always on going to be in the Gems all the updates or altcoins updates. So you can just check it once a day, the update chart, and just scroll through that. Is usually going to be 5 to 6 posts, and if there's a new entry, there you are, and you just mark it. That this particular coin you want to re-enter, and you have your box and where you should re-enter. When you have on a crypto like the recently I posted, Room, AVAX, and so on, you have literal the entry on the chart, and I'm pinning them on that chart as well, so you can find them straight away if you want to. So I'll try to do that with any of the midterm calls. I was just thinking that's going to be a great idea for anyone that didn't get into things a few months ago, that they can have still catch some of those 50, 100, 150% moves on the coins. Like we literally had the run running in what, 3 days, 30%. Uh, sorry, 36 hours, 36% or something like that. It's pretty good return very quickly, and then you can take some profits, move stops, break even, and start rotating that into next play. So I will just try to do that every now and then as well whenever I see opportunity. But yeah, I'll ask how we can do that with the Parallel and Chroma, but there's no uh, exit position on the coin unless we start, I'll start posting about it. I don't think I really posted more than a few coins that I just lost the conviction on the team or something happened on the chart and whatever. But we had literally a handful of those over last year, which I think comparing to amount of the racks and craziness in this space, was still pretty good comparing to, all the things that, printed heavily. So if something is like exit leave, you'll definitely see that because I'll be actively posting about it if I leave any position or lose conviction in any of the coins. And yeah, other than that, I'll just try to post re-entries in the next couple of weeks on the things that they still have a good price to enter. I think that'll be helpful for new people.
Yeah, it seems like that question came up a lot. Yeah. Okay, there's only two more. What about TXN? What about TXN? What do you think it can do in the next months?
I would love to say that I know what they're gonna do. Only thing I've heard from them is that they hired ex-Twitter devs and they have a platform beta coming up. Chart still holding. Like realistically, I checked that I think with Enchroma 2 or 3 days ago. That if you enter the strategic or seed round and go to the swap right now, you pretty much if you put $500, it's worth like 460 right now, and that's also including that it went up 230% previously. But obviously, if you didn't take profit, you're pretty much slightly under break even because we entered when Ethereum was at $1,600 and it went up like 230 or something percent. So I know everyone's asking about it. I mean, I have very little control over delivery of the team. I'm still holding. I sold 0 tokens. I just don't think there's a good time to sell now. And it's for me, it's either going to 0, or it's gonna pull the numbers. And I have about 28 days for it to go from 800,000 market cap to 5 million, or I have to get TX and Tattoo because that was a joke I've made, and it seems like people going to hold me accountable to that. So I have 18 days, or have to start looking for the tattoo artist. So hopefully it's not really an crazy artist. I'll just do something simple, I guess, on my butt cheek or something like that. But yeah, I'll do it if it's not gonna pull the numbers, unfortunately.
I don't know if your fiance is going to be too thrilled with that.
Yeah, she was.
You might be in big trouble.
Yeah,
I can imagine not. Okay, last one. What are your thoughts on Portal? For the ones that missed the OMG deal, don't you think it has enough potential?
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, I wasn't joking. I think I've posted that as well. That I think a Portal under $2.50, closer to $2, is a great buying opportunity. And I mean, we have no idea it's gonna pull another 3x, 4x, 5x, and so on. But I think it's a great coin. I posted that, I believe, for entry for whales, actually re-entry. I don't know if I posted that publicly, so I'll check that out. But if you're on AMA, I can drop you a chart right now because I guess a lot of people are interested in the portal if you didn't get in. That's that box literally here. If you over there, that's your buying range. Let me just post that with a link so it's gonna be easy for you to follow. 1 second. On AMA questions, where is it? There we go. You can save yourself. I think anything under 2.5, closer to $2, 1.19, if we get it again, I think is a great opportunity for Portal. Once the staking starts, and they will have a nodes running and so on, and a lot of additional things for holding a token of those airdrop dimension and so on, I think that's going to be pretty good upside momentum. sorry, on top of that, sorry, also the portal have the very little selling pressure over the next few months because except the angel round, everything has cliff. Some of them have a 3 months cliff, some of them have 6 months cliff, and so on. So realistically, for the next 2.5 months, the only people who can sell is are the angel investors, which was very limited round. Everyone else have a 3 to 6 months cliff on their tokens before they can actually sell any. So I think between now to May, June, we should have a really good rally and we should establish some sort of floor. But if I compare Portal, you can actually look at the Vanry chart. If you look, or other project was ENSP, that they had a similar, crazy launch for, or even Ammo, that on the original chart, you will see that they like a quick 10, 20x, whatever it was on a specific project for the early investors. Then you had that period of consolidation and so on for in a very tiny range. So now, for example, on Portal, we literally in a range between $1.90 to $3. And we might just consolidate in that for the next 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, who knows? But once it breaks above that $3 mark, it's gonna go straight back to 4.5, $5. That's just how it trades because that means that the selling pressure decreasing and the buying pressure increasing, and the buyers will outperform the sellers. And we're gonna have a big breakout. Everyone's gonna start posting about it. Everyone will look like a genius, and we're just gonna pump it back up. Someone was asking about the portal expectations. I mean, I would love to see 2 digits. I think it's possible in a full blown bull market. But I think the conservative scenarios between $4.5 to $7, and I think that would be incredible return for all of us. So if we get that, I think it will be, amazing. But even if we trade between $2.5 to $3.5 for the next, 6 months, 8 months, or wherever, I mean, it's still crazy return. I think, if someone sold that in a day of the launch, I mean, we pulled between 40 to 55x or something like that from our initial investment, and we still have a 12 months of vesting, which is insane.
Well, that is the last of the questions that I've been given. So I think you're finally finished. That
Yeah.
I know everybody, even the comments in the Corgi Stage channel, everyone is amazed at how long you've been able to speak to us. So thank you for all that information. I'm sure there's going to be some follow-up questions, but I think for now we should let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. So
No,
thanks again, and
no
go ahead.
worries. I know. I was just saying, not a problem. And did anyone ask about the charts to post? Are we all good? I think after Dot, I didn't see any questions about the specific charts or tokens. No, I did not.
The
And
last
comments typing
question
something.
was, oh, okay. Yeah, here's our answer.
Refresh Notion. Let me refresh Notion.
Oh,
Okay, I did not see that. Okay, let's go through those and we're done. We have 4 more. Okay, just do that. People waited for AMA for a while.
okay. Hold on.
Rocket.
Let's see. Okay, we already talked about space, so we'll skip.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your advice for a good strategy to take profits on the gems to take out the initial investment, depending on the market cap or on different times of the investment?
I presume that's from a new person. So we have all of that in our encyclopedia and atlas. We covered that very detailed and multiple times, and I covered that a couple times on this AMA. What I do, it's at any 3 to 4x move, risk-free and in profit, which means you selling part of your bag that you are risk-free and profit. Then on 6 to 8x, and then you make own decision afterwards if it's gonna pull higher. So it depends on your entry. So let's say if you dollar cost average something over the last couple of weeks or whatever time frame, you should be tracking all of that in your portfolio, and then based on that, you're judging your exit strategy, which that's my suggestions are that 3, 4x, 6, 8x, and then, whatever it's afterwards. But everyone could have a different one. I don't know how it's with all of you guys, but I've been working with the Corgi Wells. We have like, I don't know if everyone knows about it, but we have like a separate private Telegram channel with its, different access and some of the additional things we do. And I'm super impressed. A lot of those guys are extremely organized. They have everything in nice Excel spreadsheets, and the breakdown of the coins, how much they bought it for, the current position, how much they sold it for, how much is valued at the moment, and they you know changing that, adjusting the positions, they putting nice coloring and so on too, so it's nice and visual. And I think it's very good to be organized and put additional effort. And I believe a lot of people just don't do that, because when I was speaking to some of the people on the charts, it's kind of like, you swing it, wing it, and hoping for the best that you're gonna buy something and it's gonna print. And most of the people, if I probably ask, they don't know exactly how much they bought something for, what's the average dollar cost average on the entry of the coin. When is their last buy they did, how much the gas they spend, and so on, so on. And I think it's very important if you want to treat investment seriously, if you actually want to make, you know, reasonable return of investment, regardless if it's NFTs or on-chain or altcoins and so on, you should treat it like it's a job, like you're actual investor and trader. And uh, and that way, if you treat things seriously, you start getting serious returns. And I think a lot of times people just, hoping that they're gonna get things handed on a silver platter, click a couple of buttons to buy it, and things gonna just go up. And obviously, in bull market, it happens a lot, and a lot of people just look like a geniuses with actually being one. We're seeing that, on the Twitter that, suddenly there's a lot of those YouTubers who are super quiet, or those KOLs, influencers that, been quiet entire last year, now suddenly coming out and, claiming the cloud. But in reality, most of the people in the crypto space, they not making good profits consistently, and a lot of people are just gambling and are losing that money. So even if someone make great returns previous bull market, I wouldn't say that it's more than 10% people that actually made good money from the previous bull market. And not because there were no opportunities, but because they over leveraged, over gambled, they were not prepared, and they also didn't take profits. I mean, I'm sure you can, if you are in space at least 2, 3 years, you know someone, or you know that you did it yourself, that you just married your bags and held the things that you shouldn't really be holding for way longer than that you wanted to, and then you regret it. And I just want to make sure that people are not in the same situation in 8, 12, 18, or 2 years time, months time, or 3 years time, whenever the end of the bull market happens, that we're not going to be in a situation that people are holding the bags back to the bear market and to the previous entries, just because they didn't take profits. And that's what I'll try to avoid, and repeat that like a mantra for next year, until you get bored, and hopefully most of the people will listen and actually get the good profits from it.
Okay. Which altcoins would you save partly for the next bull?
None. None. You still you are unmuted, Ali. I know it's
Oh,
annoying, but every time when you unmuted, I'm echoing. Sorry. So no, none. Altcoins. I mean, if I'll probably hold maybe a small portion of a Bitcoin, Ethereum, and definitely some stable coins and so on. But definitely not going to hold anything from the bear market for the next bull market and so on, regardless if it's going to be in 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years and so on. Most of the altcoins, the same like with the on-chain coins, which will become altcoins when they are for a larger market caps. And 99% is a speculation, great marketing, great promotion, and 1 or 2% of actual innovation and improvement of the space in as a whole. So I don't believe that anything it's particularly worth to hold after a bull market for the sake of next bear market. And I had that with a lot of friends. We've been trading in 2021, 22, and some of the guys who were in a chart fee market and investing into ETFs and stocks and so on. That they just have this like a long term perspective that um, you play like a 10-year game or 20-year game or wherever. I mean, I'm not joking. There are people just trying to play that in a stick crypto stock space and so on. And I think that would be a great idea if you look on if you're entering the market, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so on. But right now, I think that we are on that stage of the macroeconomy and the cycle within a crypto space and also stocks and so on, that like thinking about that perspective at the moment is just ridiculous for me, because like if we look at the Tesla price there when they started launching, it was higher when they had I think 100 times lower revenue than it is right now. For example, the stock Tesla. It was just a pure speculation and hype that the stock went, so high. And now obviously it's still pretty good stock to buy. But with Tesla generating 100 times more revenue, how is the stock valued way lower than it was? And that's, kind of example, maybe, I don't know if everyone understand that, but it's the same thing with we saw that with altcoins in the previous cycle, that nothing really changed within Solana, didn't really get any better, or Injective or any other coins. They did some improvements, they grew the ecosystem and partnerships and so on, which is great. But the concept of the coin didn't change per se. There was just a different market. So everything when the market is super green and positive, everything looks like it's going to be the next thing and change lives and be something what you should be holding for the next 10 years. And everything when it's red, it looks like it's a rock and scam and so on. And people just trading them based on emotions. And it is what it is, and that's how it's going to be in a year time or 2 years time whenever the bull market ends. So I'll rather take profits and watch from the sidelines and try to hunt the next opportunities throughout the bear market to position myself for the next bull market rather than holding something 80-90% down, if that makes sense.
Okay, let's see. What do you think about Zero Knowledge Network, OKN? It hasn't moved yet in the last month. Do you have have you had any contact with the team recently?
Why would they contact with a team if something didn't move for a month? I mean, what we're looking at it. I mean, it's 14 million market cap coin, and we went. If you open up the 0KN chart, I mean, I can link it quickly on AMA questions so everyone see that. 1 second. There you go. You have the 0KN chart. Nothing changed over here. I mean, as long as we're holding above 10 million market cap, which is like a length, line in the sand, and pretty strong support as we can see for the past few months. I think it has a upside momentum. Last time I spoke with the 0KN team, they said about staking and nodes coming sometime in early Q2, and also the mainnet launch supposed to be before May, I believe, if I'm correct, with which is the most important thing for the coin to launch to launch the mixnet on the 0KN and the things they talked about for last few months, and also they will have the hardware, obviously the nodes, to run in a secure network. But if you look at the chart I've just sent, if you just open that up or look at the picture, you see exactly the same thing. It launched at 500k market cap, pushed all the way up to a few million, then had like 70-80% retrace, pushed back up, had a retrace, pushed back up again, and it's same over and over again. And now we're literally trading with between a 20 million to 10 million market cap. It's like a consolidation. And once it breaks up above 20 million, we're going to the new all-time highs. If we lose 10 million, then I'll reconsider if it's worth holding for the longer time. But until we're in that space, it's just a consolidation period. And to go through the little bit of education, I mean, you can see through a lot of coins do exactly the same thing. If you open up chart of Link or Injective or I don't know, AVAX and so on, they had those crazy runs in Q3, Q4 23. Um, and then you had the chop solidation within literally like a 10-15% range for a few months. And now they started, pushing back up. And it was exactly the same thing throughout the summer. You had that consolidation within a 10, 15, 20% range on the altcoins. And once they break up or break down, then you have um, then you see the direction of the coin. But as long as we're trading within that range, there's nothing really to do. I mean, how long Bitcoin traded between that in that 20K range there, between 20K to 30K. It was super boring and everyone just get absolutely chopped to pieces. And once it broke out, it just went absolutely crazy. And the same thing was with Ethereum and all the other coins. I mean, even recently, people are saying anytime Ethereum gets bullish, market is nuking. And just because it was consolidating, and now eventually when it broke out, it just went crazy. You guys remember we talked about I think the first time I mentioned it was October, and then multiple times in November and December that Bitcoin ETF narrative, it's going to be a great layout for Ethereum because that's going to be a next coin to have that ETF narrative. And you saw that literally happening from, we talked about it repeatedly, and then suddenly that narrative came straight after Bitcoin one because there was something new, fresh, sexy to look forward to, and people started trading that. And once we broke out and started holding, above 2,000 and eventually 2,500, it just went crazy for that side of that big of a, market cap. So that's pretty much with all the coins.
Okay, so someone is requesting you to chart PYR and AVAX.
I posted AVAX today in crypto. Literally today as the call. Let me just open that. AVAX and PAR. 1 second. I just reshare the chart, but I posted that as a medium, as like a swing trade on the AVAX, and we are already up since the call. 1 second. We are already up like 6%. I posted that a few hours ago. So if you open the crypto chat, you can see the 1 second. The crypto chat I posted AVAX today at what? 5 p.m. UTC, 5 + 5. AVAX swing spot, and I posted that at 52.9. AVAX pulled back to like 51.8 on a little bit with a Bitcoin, and then just pulled up, and now it's at 55.5. So you're already in 5-6% profit if you took that trade. And you have a chart there as well. It's pretty clear, bullish is holding above the trend line. It just reclaimed the previous, I wouldn't say it's obviously not all-time high, but like a previous highs we had. Just had the previous highs, higher low, and now it's printing the higher high. So as long as it's holding above $48, I think AVAX is going to 80 to 100 at least. I think 3 digits for AVAX would be pretty good. They also had a good narrative now with that big project they collaborate with. I've posted that as well with a Twitter link from a MapleStory Global, the massive Web2 gaming company with over 100 million users, collaborated with AVAX. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's a narrative. With a pair, 1 second. I mean, pair just put, I don't know how much exactly from our re-entries in January. What's 2x? So not bad, from 530, we put 2x. I think the people love the round numbers, and the same thing in stocks and crypto. This magic 10. So as you can see, if you open up daily chart on pair, it literally has a rejection $10, 10.50, 10.40, 10.70, 10, 10, 4 or 5 rejection candles at between 980 to 1070. Let me just screenshot that up so it's gonna maybe be easier to understand what I'm talking about. So there we go. And here are your previous highs. Okay, I'm posting that 1 second. See, hopefully that will be making more sense. So, okay, and let me just link that so you guys can tell me if that is logical for everyone. There we go. Sorry, just scrolling. Oh, there we go. So you have pair. Everyone can see that. You should be able to. Just got it. So you see that previous high. We just rejected. It was that big rejection from a previous high, just under $10. Went back down to 530. That was our entry in January between like $5-6. Pulled a 2x and now had the 5 or 6 rejections at the 980 to 1070 range. And as long as we hold that box, which is between the breakout and the previous highs, it's just going to go back to probably $15-20 now, print the new all-time highs. I think it's pretty straightforward, but it's pretty much the same logic like I just showed as well with dot. Someone was asking about the dot. It's a very similar concept, and if you look at the charts, they're very comparable. So it's a very, I would say, low IQ trading, but it works very well on the higher time frames. Yeah, that was pair. I don't know, Ali. I lost the questions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah, hit me.
Okay. One question, if it can be squeezed in, what's the future plan on Meta X Seed?
What do you mean? I don't understand the question. I mean, they launching. We have to just wait for the launch of the project, and then I presume there's a question from someone who invested into notes. I mean, we put all the possible details about the Meta exit before the note sale. They launched, I believe, it's in April, the first or second week of April, scheduled. They're backed by CDFI, so I'm pretty sure that's gonna be pretty hyped, and you're getting token rewards for the whatever amount of time there was. I think a couple of years or 2 or 3 years, linearly throughout the time. So that's the same concept as you have with A-tier or Ganzilla and so on. As a node runner, you participate in a project. And you're receiving tokens, so you don't need to invest in the private or seed round and so on. You're just getting the rewards in the tokens, which are allocated to the node runners for the extended period of time. But we cover all of the plans on the initial call, and obviously it's a good idea if you invested to keep an eye on the project updates and so on. But yeah, they plan to launch in early Q2. This is the same, nothing changed between our investment thesis between a couple of months ago and now, or a few weeks ago.
Okay, so our last question is more of a statement. Hey Corbel, I'm a member since summer of 2022. Rule number 1, guys, never give up in crypto and treat your first 30 to 90 days as a learning experience. Education is paramount. I made $0 in profits for over a year in crypto until the gems and NFT calls Corgel really started catching steam. So that was, someone just wanted to share that, I guess. So
I think that was Rams, right? I think that was from Rams. Yeah, we started sharing from February, and I think Ramses was the first person who got into a lot of early gems and so on with us from very first month or so, and he killed that with his portfolio growth and so on. Some of you guys probably saw it, but ran it from 4 or 5 figures to multiple 6 figures. So I wouldn't say obviously that you're gonna max your profit for the first year, because that was not the case with the gems. He was just mentioning that the first year of being in a crypto space, he didn't make profits until he started investing into gems and NFT calls. But yeah, that's a great advice. And I think patience is very important. Most of the people just don't have it in crypto and expecting that, next day returns.
Well, I think we've finally reached the end. Everybody that's still
Yeah.
here, you're amazing. And thanks again, Corgel, for teaching us so much and answering everybody's questions. That was a labor of love. So we appreciate you. And on that note, I'm running to my son's lacrosse game, and I hope everybody has a good evening. And I'm sure we'll do this again before too long anyway.
No worries. Thank you guys. Have a great evening. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.